You're listening to Inside Real Estate, where we go deep into the minds of real estate professionals. Here are your hosts, Paul and Sal.
And Brad. We just got to do that every time.
Good morning.
And then it works.
I watched the couple, and I saw they always dog on you for
Always.
You're not supposed to be here.
He's
What's
just
up with
keeps
that?
showing up. He just keeps showing
Paul
up.
doesn't want to pay to recut the intro.
No, man. No, your money. Man.
What's up, everyone? Paul Postelak is here. You are listening to Inside Real Estate, obviously. People saying I'm crabby today. I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
just a
yes.
little
I
tired.
felt that on the phone.
You did.
Yeah.
He's
a little
crabby.
demanding,
Yeah.
too. Go open the door.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I need
so,
you in the zone, man.
Before we start, for all the listener out there,
Listener.
go ahead and find us on the iTunes app. Go to Podcast Detroit, Google Play, like us, share. And for those of you that watch us on Facebook Live, we're sorry. I know that there's a delay. I've been getting some feedback from the one or two listeners we have that said that there's a delay. We're trying to get Dave from the podcast place to fix it. Dave is very difficult to get a hold of, right, Jessica? He's very
No comment.
he's aloof. He's hard to get a hold of. So Dave, if
Busy
you're
man.
listening, which he's probably not, but if he is, I'd love to fix that if we could. Today I want to talk about a little bit about the market. I feel like things are starting to turn, and we'll talk about what I think about that as far as inventory. Manhattan had its worst quarter since the meltdown. I want to talk a little bit about what that might mean. Also, Putin and our boy Trump had a really good meeting, so we might touch on that.
It's not really our boy.
for-
Putin's boy.
He's your boy.
It's Putin's boy.
First and foremost, we got Ryan Law. He is from Real
Good
Team.
morning.
Good morning, people. He looks good. You're fresh.
Appreciate it. How's the
Young.
hair?
Good,
Did I
man.
put this-
that's a good
Okay.
quaff, dude.
We have a closing in
Wow.
45 minutes.
that's
I
a
didn't
good
want
quaff.
to ruin it.
Yeah. So Ryan, tell the audience like your background, like how did you get in the business? I know you're fairly new, but you've had
Yeah.
some success, and I think that's partly due to the system that you're in. But tell me a little bit about it.
I am new. So I graduated from Central Michigan University in 2018. Yeah,
Good.
fire up.
chips.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there it
man,
is.
fire up. So this is my first big boy job.
Okay.
It really is. And I got into it. I had a professor who knew someone who.
Talking to the mic, buddy.
Into the front
Yeah.
end.
Put it in your mouth.
Yeah. So I had a I had a professor who knew somebody that was an owner of Real Team, who's not with Real Team anymore.
Oh yeah.
But he linked me up with him. They were at Central for a career fair, and I knew I was going into real estate. Didn't know who I was gonna hold my license under. I met them once, and that was it.
So was it.
Yeah.
What was the interest in going into real estate?
The interest into real estate. I'm one of those people. I need to control my own schedule. You know, I like the freedom of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like an Office Space. You ever seen Office Space? Or Office Space, where he's like, he's like, what does he say? He says, if I do the same amount of work, like I don't see another dime. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I really like that in real estate. Your effort is gonna determine your paycheck. There's no ceiling.
Right.
So that's what got me into
So yeah, I've always had a commission job in my whole career. I can't imagine. Like my wife's a teacher, just so you guys know, and it doesn't matter how good of a teacher she is. She gets paid the
Aw.
same amount of money. It doesn't matter. I mean, it really
She's a
doesn't
great
matter.
teacher,
She's a
though,
great
for the
teacher,
record.
though. Yeah.
Sure, she's a great teacher, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't change.
Saved
what-
him.
That's what I'm saying. So I had to have that, and
Yeah,
that's really it.
So that's good, man. So you went to Central. You got a degree in what?
Communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really helps you out in real estate.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's the biggest. If anyone has any qualms with their realtor, it's always communication.
Yeah.
Either they were just, awkward when they did communicate with them, or they didn't communicate with them enough.
Right.
So, yeah,
So-
I think it's the biggest.
So
thing.
you work with a lot of buyers
Yes.
right now, right? And right now, obviously, it's been a very tough market for buyers.
Sure has.
Right?
Sure has.
Getting somebody under contract is not
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
He says it with a smile.
he's going through it, man. So like, what is the right now the biggest obstacle that you're seeing for your buyers right now?
Multiple offer situations.
Still.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, still.
As many as before? or-
No.
No.
That's what I was going to say next. It is slowing down a little bit.
Yep.
But just over the last 12, 14 months that I've been doing it, that's by far the biggest issue.
Well, I almost wonder, too, is it actually slowing down, or are there more homes on the market? Because
I'm not sure. I don't know.
So that's going to segue into what I wanted to talk
Yeah.
about a little bit. Maybe we could just jump into it, I guess. But like for me, I'm starting to feel more inventory. And part of the reason I think this is happening right now, stop laughing, is everybody's got a price. And at some point, your house is worth so much more than you thought it would ever be worth, that at some point, your number gets hit. Like,
You got to sell it.
At some point, it's like, okay, if my house appreciates $100,000 since I bought it, I'm going to, okay, that's good. Okay, now it's 150. Now it's 175. At what point, what's your number? And I think people are starting to hit their number. And they're like, I got to get out. I mean, this is just too much money for me not to be
jump
able
on it, yeah.
It's all over the news. People are looking at it. They're looking at their house. They're looking at their bills, their future, their debt, kids' college, and it's time to cash out. People are putting it up.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's so much equity being built right now.
And I feel like with everything, the word's obviously out there, but I think the perception of what it means to a lot of people is it could be slower, right? Like those who keep their eyes on the markets and are a little more financially savvy are probably already made the move of selling their house and moving. But a lot of people probably are like, wait, really?
Yeah.
I can make $100,000 on this house I bought. So I feel like it just takes time. It takes time for people to kind of realize and the new normal of the market.
Yeah, but I guess my point, and maybe Ryan, you can allude to this or talk about it. It's like I feel like we're coming to this point where things are just starting to get over that hump, and it's starting to level off. Where people are like, okay, if I don't sell now, I might not. Like a year from now, I might not. I'm not going to have as much equity, so I might as well take advantage of that equity now. They're pulling out 150,000, and then putting down, taking a portion of that, but keeping a lot of that to pay off bills, debt, whatever it is. Is that what you're seeing, Ryan?
I think so. Honestly, I don't see a huge difference just yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like it's just happening.
Maybe, yeah. The thing with my brokerage with Real Team is be market proof in the sense that if you just continue to work as hard, you're not going to exactly feel the difference. So it's hard for me to really conceptualize it. But I think it's definitely becoming a little bit harder to get that number on the list side at the very least, because last summer, the beginning of this summer, it was like, what's your number? Oh, okay, your house is worth $230 and you want $250. Let's throw it up for $250 and see what happens.
Yeah,
like that's not a crazy thing to do. I mean, in the last few months here, and I've seen crazier things happen where you get that number.
Yeah,
that is kind of starting to level out, is what I've seen.
Yeah.
More price drops for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I think is just the start of. I mean, I look for trends, right? And like if you start seeing that starting to happen, once more houses go on the market sale, right? There's more houses and there's less. There's more.
Well, even if it was the same demand, I mean, there's just less people looking at the same house, because there's multiple options. So,
right. So do you think, guys, I mean, I'll ask you, do you think this time next year, what do you think the conversation is going to be about the market, in your opinion?
I have no idea. I hate making those predictions because then if I'm wrong, it is recorded.
Well,
I think to your point, who cares?
Yeah.
At least
exactly.
on our side, right? Like, who cares? Work hard, figure it out.
Just whatever happens, deal with
create
it.
whatever opportunities you can for yourself,
deal with
right?
it when it happens. But
from a business standpoint, who cares for us? But look, potentially people listening might be like, well, should I sell right now? Should I not sell right now? Right.
To answer that, sense, I would say if you've had even a thought about listing now, then yes,
it's
list the house.
You list the house.
For
well,
sure.
And it's like, the conversation we have with locking a rate. Like, I don't know. I mean, I wish I could tell you better advice, but I don't have that crystal ball. I think if today makes sense for you to do this and you can accomplish your goals by doing so, aka staying in your budget or netting a certain amount to pay off your debt and move into a new house, why wouldn't you do it? Are you going to wait around to potentially make another 10 or 20 grand on your house, or are you going to take the risk of the market falling another 20, 30 grand?
It's the best advice to give, and I give it all the time. I know you guys do as well. It's, if it makes sense today, do it.
Yep.
'Cause you don't want to live with regrets tomorrow if it doesn't make sense all of a sudden, or if Russia does something crazy and our market tanks, or whatever it is happens. If it makes sense today, do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Ryan, what is the craziest thing that you've done to try to get an offer accepted?
craziest thing I've done to get an offer.
Like as far as like offer, like you know what I mean, like because it's competitive, right? Like you're competing against 5, 6, 7 offers sometimes, and you got to stand out somehow, right?
Yeah.
You just put a picture of your.
We do have a mature content rating, by the way. So
Yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
I've never. I don't know. I guess just. I don't know. It just
nothing crazy. You're just
nothing crazy.
You're just aggressive.
I've just aggressive in normal offer, like the stipulations. I guess just writing large appraisal waivers and all that. I haven't done anything crazy like deliver the offer like from a parachute with like a bow on
That'd
it.
be awesome.
People do things similar to that.
seriously,
I haven't done it. Yeah, I've heard about some parachutes.
So for a young real estate agent getting into this business, or someone that's been in it that maybe hasn't had a lot of success, what is some advice that you give them to get going? Because it's tough as a real estate agent. We have a lot of real estate agents that listen. So like, what did you do to kind of like, I mean, really like, because I mean, you're doing well for being as young as you are in the industry.
It's very cliche, but be the first one there and the last one gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just like have to for the first. So I'm doing okay right now, but my first check didn't come for 5 months.
Yeah.
I got my first check in 5 months.
Yeah.
That's
a long time.
A long 5 months right
there. That's a long time. Yeah.
Right. So it's about being process oriented. So if you're goal oriented and you're like, okay, this is the result that I want, I'm just gonna focus on that result and focus on the money. That's how you get discouraged very quickly if it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You just have to time block, set your day, and then just do those things in the moment, and then wake up, do it the next day, and then it just will pop. You can't try and focus on the result.
I think that's a very true statement, because like honestly, like some people get so focused on results.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I need a result, I need the instant gratification. In our business, any result that you have today, honestly, is like work that you did 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Right? It's not what you're doing today that's going to pay off today.
And conversely, if there's a lack of results, it was because you dropped the ball
Right.
3 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's so you can get stuck in that trap if the checks are coming
especially,
in.
in this business, you have a good month, and you're like,
you like kick back and go to
Sweet.
Vegas or New
Yeah.
Orleans.
Yeah, you start
Slack
celebrating,
a
right?
little bit.
Yeah, you come back and wow, I
nothing.
have absolutely no business.
Yeah.
That's what I would say for sure. Is just stay process oriented,
Stay active.
and keep moving.
Yeah.
Just at all times. And then there's just the prerequisites that I think are just like people skills. You gotta just loosen up a little bit, be authentic, and people are gonna naturally want to work with you.
Yeah, there's something that happens in our industry when people just don't know how to talk to other humans without like sounding like douchey.
Or like they're reading from a
Or
script.
brash.
Yeah, the
or,
script, man,
yeah.
the robot.
Yeah, it's like, hi,
That's a
my
real
name is
thing.
Paul Apostolakis.
Thank you for calling Real Team Real Estate.
I am
How
excited
close?
to
I'll be
help
happy
you.
to help
How
you
close do I
today.
have to be to this thing? Is this
Like
okay?
it's got to be
Yeah,
in
no,
your
you're
mouth.
good,
in your
man.
mouth.
Yeah, I know.
Put it in your mouth.
Put it in and around your mouth.
Jeez.
In and around.
Okay. All right, here we are.
Jessica's laughing. Why are you laughing, Jessica?
You're just so dirty.
Yeah, you are.
All right.
That's
so
a dirty
Probably
suit too.
kids
You look
listening.
like you're about to like
I'm going to a
sell
funeral.
snake
You look like
oil.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say a
Paul.
few. Come on, man.
I'm going to a funeral.
You look
boys.
like a snake oil salesman.
I legit am going to a funeral. Thanks.
Are you
really?
actually?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
We have
Yeah.
a closing at 10.
I know. But
That's the funeral.
It's after. No,
I was gonna say. What do you?
No, it's a whole thing. I got. That's
whole
why.
thing.
Maybe
It's
that's
okay.
why I'm in a bad mood today.
It's okay.
Oh,
Next topic.
all right.
So another thing I want
We
to
didn't
talk
know
about,
that, man.
What?
Yeah.
We didn't know that.
Yeah, you kind of bagged on me
That's
before
something
asking.
you
you
gotta-
know? That's not nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right, Jessica.
It's okay.
I knew
It's
that.
not your
I backed
You
fault.
look
on
like
anyway.
you're about to take our plates off the table, man.
I think
Ouch.
look excellent. I think you look excellent. It's your color.
Okay, so Manhattan has seen its worst quarter since the implosion. So I think here's why that's telling for me.
Like Manhattan, like the city?
No, the other Manhattan, what like this
the
drink.
company. Who measures cities?
drink.
Who measures cities like
Because
a company?
this is why it's
they
important.
had the worst quarter. What the fuck does that mean?
That's why I'll tell you why it's important. Less foreign investors are coming in and buying property, which is indicative of something else. I think it's also indicative of seeing a leveling off in our market. One of the first cities, one of the first areas that started blowing up after the implosion was New York, because people saw value, especially on the high end market, and money started pouring in because there's a lot of value there. When that commodity is at a like it was like a fire sale, right? Everybody wanted to get in. Now you're starting to see there's less deals and less people jumping into that boat because they don't feel like they can get the rate of return on that investment anymore. That again, I think, is very indicative of the fact that things are starting to slow down in the real estate market.
Well, I think you almost have to look at the real estate market from two perspectives, though, and that would be new builds right? And existing real estate. And if you think of a place that's the size of the Woodward Corridor, aka Manhattan, right?
Our Manhattan.
Well, no, I'm just saying Manhattan itself. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like it's this vast area, right? Like the whole state of New York.
No, it's
I
a
mean,
very acute area.
Those investors who got in, right? I mean, they either haven't cashed out yet because they got in early and are waiting for that to happen, or I mean, there's nothing else to buy. You
right,
know?
but they're
and
saying
how much more room is there to build there?
they're still building, brother. They're going up. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I get that, but I don't know. I feel like there's other markets that are exploding still.
So where do you like where? Give me an example. Like the Bay Area is capped, dude. The Bay Area is done.
There's a ton of building in Colorado.
Colorado's hot. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure it's hot. Like super, super hot. One of the hottest markets around, actually. Everybody wants to move to Colorado.
Yeah,
man.
Have you ever been
Tell
there?
me more about
No,
Colorado.
never been.
No, my
300 days of sun though a year.
Yeah, my
Something
buddy
like
lives
that.
there.
Yeah.
He was here the other day.
probably the
telling me.
best weather in the country.
That's what they say.
If
I've
you're a
never
seasonal
been.
person.
Well, I was
Yeah.
looking that up because it was just. I remember there was like a 3-month span where it was just gray here.
You
So
got, you got
so,
depressed.
so I was just thinking, I was like, this has to be one of the grayest states. It just does.
no, I think
So I
Seattle.
looked it up.
Seattle's
No, I know we're
Seattle's
not.
not
We're
a
not.
state.
We're not quite there.
We're
Yeah,
not.
Seattle's-
Yeah, Seattle's pretty
Well,
bad.
anyway, yeah, we're gray. So I looked it up,
Very
and,
gray.
and Colorado is one of the sunniest ones. So maybe that's next.
You're gonna move to Colorado.
Real team Colorado, real team Denver.
You just want to
Shit.
smoke
Make it
pot.
happen.
You want to
I
smoke
don't
pot.
know. No, I don't know. I don't do that.
You don't smoke
That's
pot.
going to be anywhere.
Yeah, that
Everybody-
would be.
You
everybody
don't
smokes
have, you
pot.
don't have to. You
You
don't have to
smoke
move to
pot?
Denver. No.
Okay. Jessica.
No comment.
Okay.
Don't put Jessica on the spot.
I like doing that. It's fun. It's
So,
fun.
yeah, I mean, I think that.
So I don't understand your point totally. So there's two sides of it, right? New builds, and then what was your point?
Well, I think that a market will become so hot in a certain area that there's really nothing else to do but build around it and or rehab areas that aren't so hot. Like, for example, Manhattan is Manhattan, but then you have Brooklyn, Queens, all the other boroughs that potentially are going under like
yeah,
a
I just think, again, this is just me.
investment or renovation.
I totally agree, but I just think this is a good barometer. And you know me, I'm very bullish on the market. I have been. I told people to buy last year. I just think
kind of feel like you're a doomsday prepper, though.
right now, no, right now, I'm just being honest. I
Yeah.
just the information
just
that
a
I'm
bit.
getting right now is that things are slowing down.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way around it. And then, like, again, New York to me is just a barometer as to what's happening as a whole, and it's just I think it's a little bit ahead of everything else because it's such a big market.
But so we're coming to the end of the summer, right? And things slow down at the end of the summer anyway. So how much of that is
Seasonal?
market trends and how much of that is seasonal? Because we kind of all expected a slight slowdown.
Well, I think when you look at
coming.
it from foreign investment, that they don't really care whether
don't give
it's
it- yeah,
snowing
yeah.
or
That's true.
But that's more or less.
I think it's a microcosm of the market, though. I mean, Manhattan. I don't correlate that to us at all.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, I guess
I
you look
see
at
that.
foreign investment, but you just have to look at other cities, right, and see where it's happening and where it's not. I mean, those markets are crazy. I mean,
Yeah. So, for example, I will give you
1,200 square foot apartment is $1 million.
I'll play devil's advocate. So Detroit, our city of Detroit, downtown, has seen a year-over-year appreciation of 42% year-over-year. That's a big jump, dude.
It's huge, but it's easy to appreciate 42% when the average value of a home in Detroit is like Flint. It's like 40,000,
but
50,000.
bro, but
Maybe
think
even
about
less.
it. Like
it's
if
a
you-
lot easier to appreciate.
If
at
you
that
bought a
rate.
$100,000 house, you
Oh
made
yeah, no, don't get me wrong. It's
$42,000
huge.
on it,
Yeah,
right? That's pretty crazy. Do you work? Do you do anything in Detroit, Ryan? I know some of your partners
Maybe-
over there do, but
I think I've only done one deal in Detroit.
they're tough to do.
Yeah,
They're tough to do, right?
I've only done one.
There's investors from out of state buying in Detroit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still seeing a lot of that. I don't know. I just feel like potentially we're starting to slow down. That's just what I feel. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Sal, you think I'm
maybe.
wrong?
you've been wrong before.
I've never been wrong.
No, I mean, I think it's just too early to speculate. You know, there's more listings hitting the market, but is that really slowing things down, or are there going to be more sales? You know, and by slowing down, do you just mean that prices have leveled out, or do you mean that?
I think there's more inventory in the market. I think people are starting to cash out, and I think that's the beginning of creating more inventory. And then what'll happen once we have more inventory, it's going to meet the demand. Housing prices will start leveling off. I don't think we're going to see the appreciation as aggressive as we've seen it over the last 2 years. That's my point of all this. I don't think it's like we're not in danger of going out of business or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. The real estate market is really healthy. I just think we're starting to see just something becoming a little bit more healthy, which I think is a healthy thing to happen, by the way.
It's healthy.
Right?
I think it just goes back to our point. I mean, the four of us are in the business, right? So we probably have, I would say, more knowledge than the average person out there thinking about potentially selling their house or buying a new home. So if we can speculate all day long, and at the end of the day, we have no fucking clue what's going to happen with the market.
Man,
Yeah.
come on.
So
That's kind of where I'm at.
So I mean, like,
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
we have no idea.
Just don't
So
know.
if you're thinking and tossing ideas around, and you're trying to speculate about the market, and maybe sell your house and make some money, just do it. Like,
No, you're right. You should not be making decisions based on potential possibilities. It's all very relative to who you are, where you're at. All I'm doing is analyzing the picture as a whole as a real estate market and giving a broad idea of what I believe is happening, which is kind of the point of the show. So, I mean, otherwise, why the fuck would we be here?
True.
Right? So,
you just like to hear yourself.
Yeah. I'm just here to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, I know. So, Ryan, let me ask you this. A lot of first-time home buyers, especially millennials right now, have some good money saved up. Like I was talking to a millennial like the other day. He had like $50,000 saved up, and he was buying a $300,000 house.
What does
Nice.
he do?
Yeah, what's he doing right now?
I forget what he does.
Are they hiring?
No. He does some kind of sales. But anyways, so he's doing well. He's buying his first house. He's getting married. And his big question to me was, dude, how much should I put down on this house? Should I take all my money and put it down? Should I put 5% down? I have my ideas on that. When someone asks you, Ryan, obviously that's probably more of a mortgage question, but what's your thought on that, honestly?
I don't get asked it a ton. How much money should I put down? I would just say, however much you can.
Yeah.
I'm in the camp of just keeping the monthly as
Well, and I would
Just
say
like
as an agent, right, when you're looking to when you have a client submitting an offer, obviously the more they put down, the better the offer looks. But in reality, I think on our end, we talk to some people and they're like, well, I want to put 30% down. I'm like,
Why?
and you have 31% in the bank. It's like, man. Yeah. I mean, granted, I'm not living your life, and if that's what you want to do, you want to do that. But like, your interest rate might be 1/8 of a point lower with all these, low down payment programs at cap rates and things like that. Why would you do that? As long as you're okay with the payment, I'd keep that money in the bank.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all situational as well.
True.
I mean, if it's a multiple offer situation, and you like you said, you are going to look stronger if you're putting more down. So yeah.
Well, yeah. When I write a pre-approval and someone's like comfortable with doing so, I'll always put that on the pre-approval.
Yeah.
And as long as they qualify for less, I mean, they're not mandated to putting that much down.
You change the loan.
So here's what I told him. I said, listen, dude, I go, you got $50K in the bank. If you use 40 of it and you're only left with $10K, and then you got to furnish it, maybe the furnace goes out, something bad happens, you're really, the difference in payment for every $10,000 you borrow is $50, right? So for $100 a month, and he puts $20,000 less down, but he has $20K in the bank, and that's tax deductible. For me, it was like, dude, I'm always going to say do whatever you need to do, whatever makes sense. But realistically, you're tapping yourself. You're not leaving yourself a cushion. You're buying a house. A lot happens when you buy a house.
Well, and to me, I think it's funny, and this might not necessarily be the case, but someone who's so concerned about their credit, getting the best rate, whatever, they put the most down, and then they don't have enough money to potentially furnish the house, and they have to go to our van and max out a credit card.
Right.
And it's like, oh, your credit that you're so concerned about is now.
Yeah, definitely stay away from that.
That's kind of what I was.
Don't do that.
I mean, my opinion on it is put as little down as you can and still get the house, but as little as possible, because money's so cheap right now in the housing market. Interest rates are still super low. Like, they've gone up, but they're still historically ridiculously low. So money's cheap. It's a long-term debt. It's not like a credit card debt. You're not going to pay 30% interest on it. It's not going to strap you.
Right.
Keep your money in the bank. Keep your money invested. Reinvest it. Make your money work for yourself. Don't just blow it all. Put it into a house that, you're going to get equity, but
if
you're never going to tap into it.
Locking it up in the house is better than potentially not, putting minimum down and then, going out and blowing it at the bar or something like that.
For sure.
Like you said, keep it invested, keep it in the bank, because if you have that money and you keep it in the bank, and let's say the market did go down, let's say you bought a house for $300,000, you put down 3%, what was it, $290 loan amount, and all of a sudden the market in 2 years, your house is worth $240,000. And you have to sell. You got to move or whatever. You got a job.
I'd rather be out to $5,000 or $10,000 instead of 50.
Well, just depending, right? And there's options the bank might be able to negotiate to sell it for that price, and you still have your $50,000 in the bank, as opposed to, hey, it was in the house,
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah, and then as far as offers go, I usually put what they can put down.
Yep.
Because it doesn't look good, and sometimes I've had I've done 5% down on my pre-approval, and the guy has $100K in the bank, and he's just trying to leverage the market. So what I do, I call the listing agent and I say, listen, dude, they've got $100K in the bank. They're doing 5% to leverage the market. They're really well qualified. That's where a good loan officer kind of comes into play, because they need to understand that on the list side, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, you're one of the only people that I've worked with that does that.
that actually calls the list agent.
Yeah.
You got to do.
Quit giving away the trade secrets.
No, everybody should do
Yeah.
that. It's crazy that a loan officer wouldn't do that on behalf of the real estate agent to help the deal get done. Right?
I mean, I've had multiple offer situations where I lost on it,
yeah,
and the listing agent said, cited just familiarity with the lender.
Yeah.
That's one of the,
yeah,
your offer was the exact same price.
yeah,
A lot of the contract terms were the same.
Yeah.
But just confidence in the lender, confidence that this deal is going to get to the closing table.
Right.
Is why we went with this offer.
So I'm glad you brought that up, and I think this is something that speaks volumes. There are certain lenders that agents don't want to work with. There are certain lenders that they haven't heard of. So if you're someone that's shopping rates and you're dealing with ABC online mortgage that nobody's ever heard of in Timbuktu, and you got a pre-approval for them, nobody's going to feel good about that pre-approval.
Yeah.
Even a Chase pre-approval or Bank of America, everybody knows it's a cumbersome process, right? So I always felt, Sal, and I think this is true, I think when you put our pre-approval against any one of those other companies, the listing agent's going to gravitate to ours just because they know who we are and what we do. And I think that's a big, big thing for a real estate agent to know that.
Well, I don't even think it's because they know who we are, but it's also because you put the two
Oh, they know who
pre-approval.
we
Well, even if they don't, though, which is rare, but if you put the two pre-approvals next to each other, you got one that's just a piece of paper, and then you have another one that's a piece of paper that has a lot of words on it. But you also get a phone call with that,
Yeah.
explaining the details behind it, so you get the story behind
Yeah,
it. Where
well-
if you get chased, that loan officer's not calling the
well,
listing
I would
agent
say,
to
I
get
would
the
say
story.
that most people don't know who we are. That's an absolute fact. I mean, maybe like a few people we work with, but we're a new company, right? And to reach out and say and explain, that's an uncomfortable conversation. No, I never heard of.
This has happened, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Often. I would say I'm probably 90% of my deals right now. No one knows who we are, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you reaching out and calling them and saying, hey, listen, here's my background, here's what I know, here's what I've done with this client, here's where we're at. It just makes that it's that communication piece that you said earlier that leads to just a comfortable feeling.
Yeah.
And
It's honestly not rocket science.
it's really not.
Doing a good job.
It's communication.
Yeah.
Honest to God, it's just the little due diligence steps that I mean, how crazy is it to think that a lender just giving a listing agent a call when there's a multiple offer situation and you want to explain the strength of the buyer? How crazy is it to think that that's going above and beyond?
It's a
Right?
normal
Shouldn't that
thing.
be the
Yeah,
standard?
It's that's what you do.
But
dude.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, man. If that's all I have
Land
to
of
do
the blind,
to-
land of the blind. The
Sounds
one-eyed
good
man
to
is
me.
king. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
and
so.
it's unfortunate. Well, I mean, and granted, that is the right thing to do, but it's unfortunate that we have to because, like you said, it's not like we're reinventing nuclear reactors
No,
here.
no.
We're getting a mortgage for someone,
Yeah.
right?
Can I tell you what
Pay
frustrates me?
stubs, W-2.
What
I like how
frust-
nuclear reactor was got
Yeah.
something out of Paul.
Yeah,
What is this gonna
I'll
be?
tell you what's really annoying to me.
Grinds my gears.
Yeah, so I've worked with agents in the past, and then they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to start working with this other lender that they kind of suck, but they sent me a lead, right? They sent me a lead." Which is awesome. I'm glad they did that, right? But it's tough because a lot of loan officers don't have all this bucket of leads. But they're going with this other person who sucks at their job, but just because they gave them something, they're going to start working with them. The value of working with a team of people that know what they're doing, that get people to the closing table, that make people raving fans, I think is way more valuable and can grow your business so much faster if you've got a really good, proficient team around you. Some real estate agents are so focused on today and what they're getting out of it right now that, again, I think to your point, going through the process and doing all that, understanding that all these right things and having a loan officer that is very involved, that is doing all these other things and make sure the client's happy, that's getting a 5-star review, walking away from that transaction, you're making raving fans across the board.
Yeah.
That is way more important long term.
Oh yeah.
It's the residual value, right? It's not the value of today to get this deal done. It's the value to get this deal done and use that deal to get more deals done.
Yeah, and I get it. Real estate, especially if you're new in the business, you need the business, or you're looking for any way to do it, and you might end up I'm going to work with this guy. It might suck, but he sent me a couple deals. Well, but the process sucked. Their experience was not good. You know, I'm not talking about everybody, but if the experience is bad on the loan side, it makes you look bad, right?
Yeah. That's who it falls on.
Right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter who screws up. It's usually
your
agent.
Yeah. You referred him. Who's this guy? He sucked. He's not returning my calls. He didn't call the list agent.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yes.
It has?
It has.
How did you deal with it?
The only way to deal with it is just kind of take it on the nose.
Yeah.
I think the only thing worse than just getting reamed out for something that maybe wasn't your fault is deferring the blame to somebody else.
You can't.
You just don't feel good doing it.
No, you can't.
No,
it makes you look bad too.
Yeah, it makes you
People
look
see
bad.
through it.
Makes you feel bad. It's just so the only way to deal with it is just to apologize, maybe compensate in some way, and just.
That sucks though. You got to do that.
It does suck. I mean, but it comes with the
as long as
territory,
people know that you're doing everything that you can for them, it's usually good. I mean, there's facts and then there's stories, and you tell people the facts and they can make their own story about what happened or what went down.
And ultimately, the client is the one that's getting hurt, and like they're the ones that are pissed. And I have like a lot of time. Dude, buying a house is a very emotional
process.
It's stressful, man.
It's stressful. They don't understand it, and like if you don't have somebody that's going to take the time to explain it or communicate at a really high level, like people feel uncomfortable. If one of my clients doesn't hear from me in like 3 weeks or 2 weeks in the process, or like they're not being communicated with,
1 week,
they're not 3 days, really, right?
Freaking out.
They don't feel good about it, right? So a lot of communication, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can't do too much. I mean, you're either going to annoy somebody with how much you get in contact with them, or they're not going to hear from you, and you're going to annoy them in that way. I'd much rather have the former, where it's just like they're laughing at me because I'm just talking to them so much. You know what I mean? And that happens all the time.
And how important is it to you to have like a loan officer that's actually around on the weekends and evenings?
Oh my gosh, it's astronomical. Otherwise, you're doing two jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a few moving parts to a real estate deal. It's the real estate side, there's title, and then there's the lender. If you're on the buy side and you have a lender that's not answering the phone or not there for questions, you're just doing two jobs. And we've got enough going on, so it's good to have.
Yeah, and what I think what people don't realize in our industry is like, dude, people are looking at houses on Saturday and Sunday. That's when we're like the busiest.
It's the most busy.
It's the most busy.
I mean, they're not at work. That's really it.
Right.
It's after 5 p.m. and weekends and sometimes holidays.
Right. It's like, hey, Paul, I need to price this house out. It's 8:00 at night. Can you
I think
help
I've
me?
done that to you a few times. Where
Yeah, but I don't. But it's not like I don't like.
You don't bitch about it.
We always get it done.
Yeah,
we always.
No,
get it
I'm
done.
happy.
So
I'm like,
it's good.
yeah, dude, I'll do it. Like that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know.
Try calling Chase or a loan officer at Chase or Wells Fargo to get a deal priced out at 7:00 on a weekday.
I mean, for
no
instance,
one's answering.
Salvatore Cusmano, who sits right next to me right now, I will tell you this: there is not a moment in the day that he is not on the phone. He is always
Day
on the
or
phone.
night.
Like this man is just on the phone all the time, and he does. You don't pass up a phone call. I've never seen you like end a phone call.
No, I mean I don't always want to answer it, but you got to do what you got to do, right? I mean that's our job, you know. And I think when you're getting started in this business, because I'm just getting started. I feel like things are going okay, but really, I mean, we're just in our infancy of doing what we do in this, and it's like you have to answer every phone call, and not that there's an excuse not to, but until you build that team or that support system around you to completely delegate it all, it is what it is, right? So pick it up, or someone else will.
So anybody that wants to have success at anything, I think if you're phone averse in sales, you're not going to get very far. I've met so many people in the industry that don't want to pick up the phone and call someone. It's like, I'm going to hide behind email. I'm going to hide behind. Pick up the phone.
You have to look at your time, right? Like, what would I do otherwise? I'd probably watch a YouTube video of a dog dancing, getting his hair cut, and it's like, or I can pick up this phone call and pre-approve someone, right?
Have you watched videos of?
There's this one. It's really cute.
I was gonna say, I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's that little dog.
Jessica, have you seen this one? A dog getting trimmed up?
No, but I want to.
Yeah.
We should link it.
We'll get you.
Let's switch gears a little bit. I want to start doing this on every show.
Okay.
What is the craziest thing that you've seen
in your life?
No.
24 years.
In showing houses, or probably I would say in showing houses. What's the craziest situation you've been in?
Like, have you ever walked into like a cat lady house and there's 1,000 cats?
No. You know what is actually funny is because obviously you're asking the question, so I'm sure you've heard some good ones. I've heard great ones as well, and I'll be on showings, and I get asked the question by buyers. I don't really have anything.
Nothing.
No, I don't really have anything. I don't know how it happened, but I just got like the most.
And I feel like for the most part, it's
boring.
pretty normal, right?
No,
but
every
every
time I go to a house or like an open house, there's something weird, dude.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's not usually normal.
I remember we had a closing, and these buyers are so pumped, dude, and they had their walkthrough right before. And I'm sure, anyone who's had animals like dogs or whatever, like, I don't know what it is, especially if there's two of them, they like work together to like basically shit all over the house.
Yeah.
Like they're like, let's fuck this house up, right? And they just literally shit all over the house. And I remember we were at this closing, and the buyers walked in, and they were like, hey, congrats, and they're like,
not happy.
We're not. Yeah.
I mean, it was apparently it was like all over
like
the
diarrhea,
house. Like,
dog diarrhea poop.
Without going too deep into it, yeah, it was.
How much deeper
can
we go?
Yeah, I mean, it was you took it
See,
to
maybe I have seen some crazy stuff because that was what I was gonna say. Like just houses that are in complete disarray, animals walking around. So
it's like
maybe it's just become normal to me that.
And that's sad that people have the
condition.
mindset or whatever. Like, closing, not my problem, And it's like, well, these poor people are gonna walk in, and they're gonna. It's a minefield. I mean, it's everywhere.
So how do you deal with something like that? You get to the closing table, you're super pumped. You just had your walkthrough, or you're leaving the walkthrough, and you're like, man, and the buyers are like, man,
Yeah.
Do you still close? Do you?
Depends on a couple of
You're
things.
closing. You're not closing over some shit in the fucking hallway.
Right, but still,
I mean, I wouldn't. I'd be like, we'll close tomorrow. This seller's got to clean this shit up, and then we'll close.
So it has to be the house has to be broom swept.
It does.
Right.
That's the rule, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to
So,
sweep shit. It'll just smear.
So it's like
Jesus Christ.
Honestly, that's what I would not. I don't know how I would deal with it because I haven't had to deal with it just
You'd
yet.
clean
Just
it up.
because I'm very.
You'd go clean it
I'm
up.
careful. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It would just.
So
I don't
everybody
know.
listening out there, Ryan Law will clean up poop
Yeah.
if you get poop in your house.
Depends. I mean, slip
That's
me
tough.
a
Takes one of those, man.
I don't know.
and
I think
I'm sure there's a myriad of stories of people, going in and like there's dog,
Yeah.
I'll tell you the
Oh, yeah.
craziest story that I was ever involved in. They they close, they sign on the paperwork, right? They sign on everything. They go back to the house, and the septic tank blew up.
Man.
Nice.
So they hadn't executed it all. I forget what happened. There was still like one more thing to do, and they just killed the deal because the septic field blew up, and there's poop everywhere.
Nice.
It's not good.
That's super tough, man.
So you're buying a
sweep it up.
house. I mean, that's a little more than a little bit of dog shit. I mean, that's a lot.
Someone
of
was telling me a
lot of
story the other day that the people had moved. So the house was sold, everything was good. They moved in, and their people's cats were still there.
They just left their cats.
Yeah, they left the cats
For
there.
free? So they just got the cats?
Well, I guess one of the cats it was lost, and it was still in the house. And the people who had bought the house, but they made messes everywhere, right? So the people who had bought the house kept the cats hostage, essentially, until they gave them money
Oh, wow.
to clean everything up. So it was like
They
this
held them
big mess.
ransom.
Wow.
Yeah, they were
don't know
like,
if that's
listen, we are going to
legal.
keep
Yeah, I
the
don't know
cats
where
if you
that-
give us money
I don't know
because their
where.
carpets are all screwed up, and we want our
Did they
carpets.
pay? Did they pay for the?
I
cats?
think they eventually did. I don't know. The story was getting a little long, and
That's a bold.
I was like, man,
we could do a
Play.
whole nother
Yeah.
podcast
All right.
of just stories
we got
every week.
3 minutes. Real quick, what did you guys think about the whole Putin thing with Trump? How do you think that went? It went well, I thought.
I didn't
thought,
watch it.
Oh, it went
Yeah,
well.
I don't even know what happened.
Pass.
I don't
Okay,
pay
so
attention to
nobody
any of
saw
that. No.
Somebody saw it.
It just hurts my head. I don't get it.
I'll be honest, it
everyone's-
wasn't great.
What,
It
what-
was-
what-
it
what
was-
went down?
Trump was just, I mean, just the visual alone was bad. He was yucking it up with Putin. He's like, no collusion here, buddy. No. Give me that. He's holding a soccer ball. He's like,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Yeah, it's almost like he's trying to like look as
It doesn't matter what he
bad
does.
as
It doesn't matter
possible.
what he does. It does not matter. It's so
I don't
crazy.
think it does.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what he does. He will get reelected
Yeah.
as long as the economy is good.
I
He
don't
is
know.
getting reelected, and he's going to win a Nobel Peace Prize for fixing North Korea. And he's a horrible human, in my opinion.
I'm
But
leaving the country.
you're not leaving anywhere. Where are you going to go? Nobody's taking you. You can't get a visa for anywhere.
Australia.
Ryan,
Yeah.
tell the audience how they can get a hold of that fine coif of yours.
You can get a hold of the fine cough of my. What do you want me to get my cell phone number out?
Oh, I don't know. How
don't
do you want,
know.
Do you
me
want
to hold
business?
you? I mean,
yeah. So I do have a professional Facebook page, Ryan Law. I'm with Real Team Real Estate. You can look them up as well. And if you're looking to get in the business as well, check out Real Team. I don't think there's a better place to start
I would agree
the
with
business.
that. I would agree.
Honest
with
to God, if I don't even know if I'd be in real estate if I weren't with
it's
Real
so
Team.
hard to get going in real estate that they give you the best opportunity.
I mean,
by far.
it's outstanding. So if you've even had any thoughts, you need to check out Real Team. But other than that, I don't know.
You're not giving your number out.
No, I don't think I'll be giving my cell number out.
You should.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't have to. We'll post it.
Just look me up, man. Facebook,
Ryan
Ryan Law.
email
That's my
address.
name.
If anybody's looking for homes or anything, Ryan actually does a very, very good job. For being as young as he is, he's super professional, super proficient, very communicative. And there's some agents I know suck, but there's some agents I actually look forward to working with. Like, we have a closing we're going to right after this.
Yeah. And me and Sal had one like 10 days ago.
Yeah,
man. That went well as well.
So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
For the audience, please look us up on Facebook at Omega Lending Group. That's our Facebook page. You can also go to iTunes, Podcast Detroit. Inside Real Estate is the name of the show. Anything else I'm missing, Jessica? Anything I'm missing?
No, you're good.
I'm good.
Jessica's the real brains of this operation.
We
feel
have
like.
no idea what we're doing.
I feel like,
So,
We should have
Dave,
Jessica as
Dave,
a
if you're
as a
listening,
guest.
we really would like some
That'd be cool.
help with our technical stuff. Please.
Another call out. To
I've texted you. I've called you.
We'll leave the light on for you.
All right. I love you guys.
Thanks, bro.
Goodbye.
Appreciate it.
I love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Oh, my. That was fun, man.